Welcome to Britain, the world's unofficial capital of unspoken rules, dry humour and yes, undeniable poshness. Why are the Brits so posh? Is it the tea, the monarchy, or perhaps something hidden in the misty rain? In this essay, we embark on a jovial yet insightful journey to uncover the roots of British formality and the peculiar charm that makes the British, well, so quintessentially British. The roots of British formality are as deep and intricate as the lines on the Queen's face. From the stiff backbones of Roman Britain through the pomp of the Victorian era, every historical epoch has sewn a button on the tight coat of British decorum. The Victorians, with their obsessive attention to propriety and decorum, were particularly influential. They spun a web of etiquette so complex even Charlotte herself might have blushed. Colonialism too played its part. As the British Empire expanded, so did its sense of superiority and need for formal distinction. This wasn't just about power, it was about projecting an image of civility and control, a facade maintained even when sipping tea in the sultry heat of an Indian afternoon. The echoes of these times are still felt today in the hushed tones of afternoon tea and the orderly queues at bus stops. What could be more British than tea time? This ritual, more choreographed than ballet, is the epitome of British formality. The clink of china on saucer, the precise temperature of the water, and the exact timing of the brew are matters of national importance. Tea isn't just a drink in Britain, it's a cornerstone of social life, a therapeutic pause, a mediator of conflict. The Boston Tea Party might have thrown it into the harbour, but the British clutched it to their chests ever tighter. The practice of afternoon tea started amongst the wealthy but soon permeated all levels of society, becoming a symbol of British identity and a daily stamp of formality. And let's not forget the etiquette, milk before tea or tea before milk. This is a debate that could end friendships in Britain, illustrating just how seriously these customs are taken. The British monarchy isn't just a family of royals, they are the carriers of the British standard of formality. From the precise way to address the Queen to the strict dress codes at royal events, they set the benchmark for proper behaviour. Take, for example, the royal ascot. Here, not only is there a specific dress code, but there are also rules about the size of one's hat and the appropriateness of one's attire. These events are televised, watched by millions, setting a standard that many aspire to emulate. Interestingly, the monarchy's influence extends beyond the borders of the UK. The fascination with British royals worldwide suggests a global endorsement of their formality and conduct, shaping perceptions of British poshness far and wide. In Britain, education is not just about learning algebra or the kings of England. It's about learning where one fits in the class ladder. Institutions like Eton and Oxford do not merely educate, they mould the elite, reinforcing behaviours and norms that echo through the corridors of power. The class system in Britain, although less overt than in the past, still influences social behaviour. The upper classes often adhere to a code of formality and restraint, setting a standard that others either aspire to or react against. This system has perpetuated a culture where formality is often equated with respectability and class. Moreover, the old boys network seen in these institutions reinforces this formality outside school walls, in business and social settings, keeping the wheels of the class system greased and in motion. The English language, with its stiff upper lip, is a perfect tool for formality. It's not just what the British say, it's how they say it, guarded, understated, and with a politeness that can bamboozle the uninitiated. Phrases like quite good might mean anything from excellent to barely acceptable, depending on the inflection, whilst with the greatest respect is often a prelude to a verbal knife twist. It's a linguistic dance that all Brits are taught from the cradle. Moreover, the English language has a rich arsenal of euphemisms and understatements. A British person might describe a torrential downpour as a bit wet, or a disastrous situation as not ideal. This penchant for understatement is a cornerstone of British communication, adding layers of meaning and maintaining a veneer of composure and control. One cannot ignore the role of accents in the tapestry of British formality. Received pronunciation, often referred to as Queen's English, is widely regarded as the most prestigious accent in the UK, associated with authority and high social status, further accentuating the class distinctions through speech. The British media, with its penchant for pomp and circumstance, plays a significant role in both portraying and perpetuating the stereotypes of British formality. From the BBC's polished newscasters to the ceremonious coverage of royal events, the media molds the global image of a proper Britain. Consider the influence of television series like Downton Abbey and The Crown. These shows not only entertain but educate the world about British social hierarchies, etiquette, and the historical context for much of the formality observed today. They romanticize and sometimes satirize the rigid structures of British society, making the poshness both appealing and accessible to a global audience. Furthermore, British literature, with icons like Jane Austen and Charles Dickens, has long celebrated and critiqued the formalities of British society. Their works, filled with insights on etiquette and class, continue to influence perceptions of British culture worldwide. The British humour is an intricate ballet of irony, sarcasm, and understatement, often serving as a social lubricant and a tool for navigating the maze of British formality. The Brits have the unique ability to laugh at themselves, to make light of their own rigidity and sense of decorum. Shows like Monty Python and The Office reveal much about British culture. They poke fun at the absurdity of overly formal behaviours and the discomfort that they sometimes engender. This self-deprecating approach to humour is not just funny, it's a form of social commentary, critiquing and coping with the layers of formality that pervade British life. Moreover, the use of irony allows the Brits to say what they mean without really saying it, a practice that keeps conversations light but meaningful, allowing for criticism without direct confrontation, a refined skill in the arsenal of British communication. The British have long been icons of bespoke fashion. Think Savile Row suits and Burberry trench coats. These aren't just clothes, they are statements of a culture that values presentation, formality, and a certain sartorial restraint. The bowler hat, once a staple of the British gentleman's wardrobe, may be less common today, but its symbolic value endures, representing a time when your hat could speak volumes about your status and your adherence to social norms. Today, while the styles may have evolved, the underlying values of modesty, quality and appropriateness remain central to the British fashion ethos. Fashion Week in London, a city known for both its traditional tailoring and its avant-garde designers, showcases this blend of old and new, formal and subversive, reflecting the complex layers of British identity and social norms. Discussing the weather is the quintessential British icebreaker. It's not trivial. Weather talk is a coded language, a way of expressing concern, making a connection, or filling an awkward silence without stepping on any social landmines. The unpredictable British weather necessitates a constant dialogue about it. This obsession has become a crucial part of social interaction, often serving as a safe topic when navigating the minefield of British formality. It's a shared experience, a common gripe, and perhaps a metaphor for the British stoicism and perseverance through less than ideal conditions. Moreover, the weather affects more than just conversation. It influences fashion choices, social plans, and even business decisions, making it a fundamental, albeit peculiar, pillar of British culture. Sports like cricket, rowing and rugby are not just pastimes in Britain. They are carriers of tradition, each with its own set of rituals and etiquettes. The cricket tea interval, for example, is as much a part of the game as the cricket itself, involving sandwiches, cakes and, of course, tea. These sports reflect the British penchant for tradition and formality. They are interwoven with the social fabric, often associated with the elite and their educational institutions, and are imbued with a sense of decorum that reinforces the British identity. Moreover, the manner in which these sports are spectated, often with a picnic and polite applause rather than loud cheers, further illustrates the formal, restrained nature of British social life. British cuisine, often unfairly maligned, is deeply intertwined with the country's formal customs. The Sunday roast, a weekly ritual in many homes, is a meal that demands a certain ceremonial reverence. It's a time for family, for tradition, and yes, for a bit of formality, with everyone gathered around the dining table, engaging in polite conversation. The rules of British dining, from the layout of the table to the correct use of utensils, are taught from an early age. These rules are not merely about manners, but about respecting the ritual of shared meals, about acknowledging the effort put into cooking, and about fostering a sense of community and belonging. Furthermore, British fine dining, with its Michelin stars and gourmet offerings, continues to celebrate this high level of culinary formality, blending old traditions with new innovations and maintaining the high standards that are synonymous with British dining etiquette. Pubs are the beating heart of British social life, a paradoxical space where formality and relaxation collide. Here, the rules are unwritten but deeply understood. There's a correct way to order, to pay, to tip, and even to engage in conversation. Pubs are democratic spaces, yet they adhere to a distinct etiquette that everyone is expected to follow. This blend of informality within a framework of rules is a microcosm of British society. Pubs offer a glimpse into the everyday interactions that, while seemingly casual, are governed by an array of social codes and customs that define and reflect the broader cultural norms of British life. Navigating the London Underground during rush hour is akin to participating in a well-choreographed ballet. There's an unspoken rule book: stand on the right, walk on the left, no eye contact, and absolutely no loud conversations. This public transport etiquette is a reflection of the British value of order and personal space. The quiet carriages on trains, where even the rustle of a newspaper can earn disapproving looks, further illustrate the British commitment to public decorum. These rules, while they may seem excessive to outsiders, are a testament to the British penchant for maintaining a respectful and orderly public space. How does the rest of the world view this British formality? Often with a mix of amusement and admiration. The British might be mocked for their stiff upper lips and love of queuing, but these traits are also seen as emblematic of a society that values politeness and order. International films and television often play up these stereotypes, sometimes exaggerating them for comedic effect. Yet these portrayals also speak to a genuine global fascination with British culture, its history, its traditions, and its peculiar norms. This global perspective often reflects a mixture of truth and myth, forming a picture of Britain that is both respected and ribbed for its adherence to tradition and formality. British music and art have often pushed against the boundaries of this formality, offering a voice to the rebellious, the innovative, and the avant-garde. From the punk rock movement of the 1970s, which directly challenged societal norms, to the street art of Banksy, which critiques contemporary social issues, British creative expressions often provide a counterpoint to the country's formal facade. Yet even in rebellion, there is a quintessentially British way of doing things, through wit, irony, and a nod to tradition. This dynamic tension between conformity and rebellion enriches the cultural landscape, making British music and art both diverse and distinctive. From the pomp and pageantry of a royal wedding to the solemnity of Remembrance Day, British celebrations and ceremonies are steeped in tradition and formality. These events are not just about marking a special occasion, they are public affirmations of national identity and shared values. The meticulous planning and execution of these ceremonies, watched by millions around the world, underscore a collective respect for history and tradition. They are a showcase of British formality, from the precise marching of guards to the carefully choreographed public appearances of the royal family. These ceremonies are also key moments where the nation comes together, participating in rituals that are both ancient and profoundly meaningful, reinforcing the social fabric of the country. In the British professional world, formality is not just a nicety, it's a necessity. The business etiquette in Britain, from the firm handshake to the prompt email reply, underscores a broader cultural emphasis on respect and propriety. This formality can sometimes seem excessive to outsiders, but it plays a crucial role in maintaining professionalism and decorum in the workplace. It helps to establish clear boundaries and expectations, which are essential for effective communication and successful business relationships. Moreover, this professional formality is often seen as a benchmark by international businesses, influencing corporate cultures around the world. It reflects a commitment to quality and detail that is synonymous with the British approach to business. The concept of the stiff upper lip, the quintessential British trait of emotional restraint and fortitude, remains relevant even in modern Britain. It epitomizes the formal, controlled demeanor that is often expected in public life. This trait is celebrated in times of crisis, where calm, composed leadership is prized. It's seen in the national response to adversity, be it in wartime speeches or in the quiet, collective resilience in the face of contemporary challenges. However, this emotional restraint is also criticized, seen by some as a barrier to open emotional expression and mental health. The balance between maintaining a stiff upper lip and acknowledging the need for emotional openness is a contemporary challenge for British society. As Britain moves further into the 21st century, the traditional norms of formality are being questioned and redefined. Globalization, the influence of social media, and increasing multiculturalism are all shaping a new, more relaxed approach to formality in British life. Younger generations in particular are blending traditional norms with global influences, creating a hybrid culture that is both respectful of the past and open to the future. This evolution is visible in everything from the casual dress codes in workplaces to the informal, direct style of communication being adopted. This shift doesn't mean the end of British formality, but rather its adaptation to a changing world, where the values of respect and decorum are maintained even in less formal settings. Expatriates in Britain often have unique insights into the quirks of British formality. Their observations can range from bewilderment at the persistent politeness to admiration for the orderly public life. Many express surprise at the depth of unspoken rules and the level of indirect communication. However, they also often come to appreciate these norms, finding a sense of security and respect in the structured social interactions. These perspectives are invaluable for understanding how British formality is perceived by those not raised within its culture. They highlight both the challenges and the charms of adapting to a society where formality pervades many aspects of daily life. Throughout this exploration, we've seen how British formality is more than just an amusing quirk. It is a deeply ingrained part of the nation's identity, shaped by history, tradition, and the collective British psyche. From tea time to the stiff upper lip, these rituals and behaviours are not merely about being posh, they are about expressing values of respect, order, and community. As Britain continues to evolve, these traditions may shift, but the underlying principles are likely to endure, continuing to define what it means to be British. This poshness, with all its nuances, remains a central thread in the fabric of British life, making it a uniquely charming and enduringly fascinating culture. In the end, it's clear that the question isn't just why the Brits are so posh, it's how their poshness tells the story of a nation that values its past while cautiously navigating its future. This blend of tradition and transformation makes the British culture not just a subject of global fascination, but also a continuing source of national pride.